Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Eunice. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are indeed blessed to see June, and it's by the grace of God that we were able to see this month. And so I want us to look at a widow, specifically in Luke chapter 21. And so I'm going to be reading from the NIV. Luke chapter 21 from the NIV version. The widow's offering. As Jesus looked up, he saw the rich putting their gifts into the temple treasury. He also saw a poor widow put in 2 very small copper coins. Truly, I tell you, he said, this poor widow has put in more than all the others. All these people gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had to live on. This woman put in all she had to live on. I want us to be reminded in June that not only do we receive much when we avail ourselves, but the little that is given, God gives us so much more. And so, it's important that you understand that when you plant that seed, indeed a harvest will come forth. And so this widow specifically, we know of another widow, right? She was persistent and God answered her. And, to our surprise, we see specifically here, there is a widow here as well. And God heard her and answered her. We know he answered her because he refers to her. Jesus literally refers to her and says, everybody else gave percentages out of their wealth, but this woman didn't do that. She gave all that she had, meaning that if wealthy people are only taking out of what they have, which is already in abundance, meaning that there's so much in store that is already left, and that they didn't give their all, and that this woman gave her all, that means that God is going to do more in the one who gave all that they have. And this reminds us that in our acts of service to God, when we give up all that we have, when we serve with our heart, we should understand that even in our acting of service to God, that God rewards so much more to those who availeth much. And so that means that the more you're availing yourself, God does more for you than for someone who was behind you and said, I'm giving out of what I already have. I'm not losing anything because I can go back home and say that I still have even more than what I gave. And so God reminds this woman that just as you have gave out of the little that you had on you and all that you had left, I want you to know that the person behind you has left with only what is left when they go back, but you are going to receive more than what you even put in the bowl. And so we have to understand that in our acting of service, in our planting of seed, in our season of planting, in our season of confusion, in our season of lack of understanding, we must understand that wisdom is telling ourselves that I shall never lack no good thing. Because when I carry God, that means that I'm putting into the bowl, I'm offering a substance to God that God says is pleasing to me. You have to understand that from the depths of your heart. When God says sow a seed, when God says give to me, and that goodness and everything that is about me will be given back to you, we should not withhold from God what God says he's going to give to us. We shouldn't tell ourselves that, God, I've served you. God, I've stood in your presence. God, I've been walking with you. God, I want to see you do something. No, God is saying that you step forward. You take that action. You take that boldness so that I can show you what I'm about. So literally the widow took that step, and that was her act of faith. That was her assurance in God. That was her assurance in Jesus Christ, that she's not doing this because someone is holding her back or someone is tickling her ear, telling her that if you do this, then God will surely answer you. No, this is her saying that I'm doing this because I'm assured in God that I have a system in place with God, that God is who I'm banking with. And so if I'm banking with God and he's the owner of the bank, then that means that I never lost anything. That means that no one was holding me back. That means that nothing can be taken out of me and said said that, oh, she had this taken out of her, so she has nothing left. No, God is saying that she even became more wealthier from her acting of service to God. And so the people who stood there and felt that they knew within themselves that they're more wealthy than her, God is saying that no, she's actually more wealthier because she is the one who gave up all that she had. She gave a substance to God that was well pleasing. You have to understand that she must have been standing on the faith of Abraham, because when Abraham had to offer all that he had, which was Isaac, on that altar, God was saying, I'm testing you to see how deep, how much and how loving you really see me. We have to understand that Abraham offered Isaac out of obedience. This widow said, I'm going to offer out of love and obedience to God. And so she was doing it standing on the faith of Abraham, because the Bible makes us understand that when you believe, you are heirs of Abraham, who is a child of the living God. And so we understand that she was attaching herself to the faith of Abraham and saying that I'm going to place the little that I have into this bowl. And I'm not doing this to see and test and see, if God, if you're real, if you're man, or if you're not. She just knew that God was going to do more for her. So what are we doing? We are serving God. We are serving with meaning and love and understanding that God, I'm serving you because I'm going to receive much more when I keep serving you. We're serving God because we're saying that when I put my substance in the bowl, I'm doing this in remembrance of what you are doing in my life. Your faithfulness to me each day is enough. And so God is literally always telling us that when you give him the little that you have, not out of the abundance that's already there, but when you give him all that you are and all that you have on you, he says that I'm going to remind you again and again and again that my faithfulness, it stretches and it's never ending. And so we have to understand that we must not halt, we must not stop, we must not pause, we must not say, oh God, do you really want me to do this for you? But I'm tired, but I'm fed up, but I'm annoyed, but I'm easily, swayed by all kinds of things around me. We must give all that we have, because in our giving is when we see that God has always been faithful. When we are saying that we're walking up to that bowl, we're taking that step, we're saying that God, I'm moving in faith. When you are resting in God, you have to always take up your faith. You have to pick up, it's a mantle. You have to move. There are ladders that you have to literally climb up. And so when you are in the faith of God, you have to always constantly reassure yourself in the faith of God that God, I'm doing more than what I did yesterday. When we do the bare minimum every single day, God is saying, I see you, I see you. But when we are doing more than the bare minimum and we are saying, I'm connecting myself to the faith of Abraham, we are saying that God, I want to see signs and wonders. And so you go from having God saying, I see you, to saying that I am not man that I should lie. And so I'm going to do signs and wonders in your life. I'm going to walk with you and take steps with you, and so that you can be rest assured that you are literally resting in me. So the woman didn't have anything to hold back. She knew that if this is all that I supposedly have on me, then so be it. And so God is saying that no, you know that you have more than that. You know that you have rest assured that you have peace from what you're doing. Because if she didn't have peace in what she was doing, she wouldn't have taken that step. And so in that business plan, and so in that position, and so in that work, and so in that atmosphere that you find yourself in, you have to first take that step, and so that God can say that I'm here. So signs and wonders will take place. And so I want us to be reminded every single day that the little that you feel like you're giving to God, don't let that withhold you back. Tell God that, God, this is so much, and it's taking all of me. And so I'm giving this to you so that signs and wonders can take place in me, because your faithfulness to me each day is enough. And so God will always manifest himself in your life. In the acting of service, he will always manifest himself. In your service and gratitude, he will always manifest himself. Let us be reminded that the widow gave all that she had so that she can receive even more in abundance than the people who gave more than her. And so what they did, they received their portion, but she received greater, because she did not only move in assurance and faith that she knows her God, but she moved in assurance and in boldness that God is going to direct me to the next level. And so in order for her to get to that next level, she knew that I have to do the impossible in the sight of man. I have to do what man has already said. It's not going to work. What are you doing? Why would you give up all that you have? The voices, the things around her. I'm sure everyone around her looked at her and said, but this is all that you have. You have nothing. And so God is saying, prove them wrong, that is not all that you have. When you have me, you lack no good thing. And so she was saying, let me get up and take this step so that everybody around me can just assume that I've lost everything. And God is saying to her, why would you lose anything? Because what you're doing is actually beautiful in my sight. And so when you are saying that, God, I'm going to give you all that I have, you're saying to the people around you, the naysayers, the doubters, the voices in your mind, that God is getting ready to do a new thing. And so just be bold and courageous and do not be afraid. That's why God is constantly reassuring us that wherever you go, I will be with you. And so he's always telling us to be still. So we know he tells us in Psalm 46. We know he tells us all throughout the times of the Israelites were in the wilderness to be still. God is constantly walking with us. And it's important that in this month of June, as you are wrapping up, that you don't hold yourself back, that you don't take time to say that, God, I rather doubt. God is saying, when you doubt me, I go further away from you. So rather than you thinking that God is going to come closer, he says, I have to move back, because you're saying that I can't do the impossible. And so I have to move further back from you. Rather than getting closer to you, I'm detaching myself from you. And so we have to tell God that, God, no, I want to be that. I want to carry that mindset of the widow everywhere I go in the decisions that I make, that I'm going to do what everyone else says is impossible. I'm going to avail myself so that I can receive even more than what the person behind me has received. And so that means that I have to renew my mind. I have to renew my thinking in you. Let us move with a transformed mind. Let us move with transformation in our hearts. Let us move with a forward-thinking mindset that, God, this is not too hard for you. That enough of the doubting, enough of the pausing, of the running back and forth. I'm not sure if you're here or not. Let us be resting in Christ. Let us arise as soldiers in the end times and say that God is alive, that God is aware of what we are dealing with. God is assuring us that he will get us through this mountain and that we will make it to the finish line. My name is Eunice. Like I always say in every video, God is faithful and God is going to do more than you can even think or imagine. It's up to us as believers to come together as one and say that, God, I am ready. So you do what no man can do. Rest assured, ending of this June will be glorious to the glory of the living God. And I just know that testimonies will come forth in the name of Jesus Christ. God bless you all for supporting me, tuning in, and showing all the love that you have shown me. My name is Eunice. Once again, thank you so much for supporting and watching each video. God bless you all.